Hi, and welcome to the World Affairs Truth Report. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name's Helen Jane Rose, and I'm a channel, an automatic writer, an energy healer, and an author. And I've written a number of books, including The Coming Times, and that's where the World Affairs Truth Reports have come from. Because The Coming Times did actually start off as the World Affairs Truth Reports. And so now I'm bringing weekly guidance and messages from the Divine Council. I write verbatim each week, and then I read out the messages and the guidance that's come through. And then I'm joined by my lovely partner Jed, who's an acupuncturist, a cranial sacral therapist, and an energy healer. And he's going to join me to unpack the messages and to help to ground them and to bring his wisdom and his knowledge and his perception to the messages. And if you want to know a little bit of background or a little bit more information, we've done a kind of question and answer interview together that you can find the link in the caption below this video. Or you can go to our YouTube channel, The Coming Times Unpacked, and you'll find it on the homepage there, and I'll just give a bit more background information. And so I am going to read to you the World Affairs Truth Report for this week. Welcome, beautiful soul, to this week, where the year of the fire horse really starts to take the reins. As we bring you this week's truth report, please bear in mind that whilst our reports could be viewed as somewhat generic in their nature, we would like to say that we are talking directly to you, to the part of you that knows truth when you hear it, to the part of you that knows there's a lot more to life than what's on show, to the part of you that feels different, that knows differently, and is so wanting to have that aspect of yourself validated by you. To have your mind fully on board with the true you without any doubt whatsoever. You see, even the most awakened still experience the need for inner validation. For the unseen only becomes seen through trust and faith at first. This is how it's uncovered from within you, until you come to know for sure, and the doubt is then released from within you. This is because the mind is so strong in convincing you of the invalidity of the soul self. Now, not everyone listening or reading this have ever thought about this before. For the majority haven't even considered for a second that there is more to them than what their mind has convinced them of. Yet we tell you quite boldly, without any doubt, that in the coming times, all will question what in the majority they have been oblivious to. You see, the world is set up to distract you from yourself, to stop you from hearing its inner whispers calling to you. But question all will do as the world shifts and changes now. For everyone in the coming times will be drawn inwards in one way or another. For this is where the world is going. And just like the generation that remembers life without mobile phones and the internet, there will come a time that to assume this is all there is to life will be very much an antiquated thought form. And so we honour those in this moment who have agreed to step out ahead and bring our messages through, often at the expense of themselves, and not because they're comfortable with seeming different, but to assist, if you like, in bringing conscious technology into being, the technology of the soul, higher consciousness. For society has been set up to make you feel that different is somehow odd and being the same is celebrated. Yet we say that the age of individuality is open. It's time to really think about who you really are, if you want to. Are you willing to deepen your connection to yourself above your connection to the outside world? Are you willing to perhaps admit how chaotic your inner world has become? Are you able to open to the inner calling to peace and love? Or does fear and chaos feel familiar and comfortable for you? These are the questions the coming times will see you being asked in different guises. And each time, everyone has a choice to ignore or to question. And so we leave you this week with the suggestion of these questions. Who are you? What really makes you tick? Is there something stirring within you that if you'd only be accepted as being part of you, you would happily pursue? Perhaps you're currently not in a great space within yourself for trying something new, being something new, saying something new, or feeling something new and wishing for it to go away. And we wish to say to you, try and stay with the new. Try and allow yourself to feel uncomfortable. And through that state of inner being, see if you can get through. See if on the other side of the fear of the new, you can sit and realise that something has changed within you. For it will have done if you can push through. Change is always uncomfortable in one way or another. Yet, to stay stuck and not try the new is to keep yourself stifled at the expense of you. This month is about celebrating the new, small wins from within you, noticing that you can be more loving towards you. I'm Helen Jane Rose, bringing you these messages and guidance from the divine counsel. Gosh, I've just realised that I am the generation that totally remembers life without mobile phones and without the internet. So it just goes to show how quickly things can change, because it actually seems inconceivable that it wasn't that long ago that we did not have mobile phones. And I think if we said that to, like the younger generation now, or even for us, how did we do it? So I find that interesting, that things can change, and things that we thought were just not possible suddenly are there in reality and are our reality. Anyway, I am going to shift over, and my lovely partner Jed is going to come and join me.
Hi, I'm Jed Ferguson, and what qualifies me to unpack these wonderful offerings? I think just being curious, for one, interested. I'm on a soul journey myself. I've been for some time, so an insatiable desire for more information and validity of the journey, and also my experience in the clinic, where I understand how shifts in energy, whether that be physical, mental, emotional, have beneficial changes to people's lives, and hopefully these will do too. For sure they will. Maybe we can help that on its way, make that easier for you, and just offering my perspective, Helen's perspective, and see where that takes us. So we're on number 3 now. There's a constant theme where the Divine Council are addressing the deeper aspects of the human self, or the soul, and that part of us that has this, I feel, beyond intuition. It's further than intuition. It's this deep knowing, and it's like, where does that come from? And it seems to be that there's a commonality among people that are on that path, that inner knowing, if you like, is the same thing. So we must all be from the same place. That's my perspective on it, or a similar place. So there, Divine Council are addressing that deeper aspect that is dedicated to this journey, dedicated to improving the human experience, dedicated to finding out who we really are. And there's something inside of us that's really attracted to that calling, that information, that wisdom that's coming through. So looking at today's offering, I've just picked out a few things. The first one, I imagine most people watching this will be aware of the Chinese year of the fire horses approaching. That's astrological and numerological. And an interesting thing about the fire horse is that it comes every 60 years. And years ending in 6 normally would be a water sign. We've got a confusion here of a fire energy, and it's by design, and it's catalyst. So you've got the energy of a horse, which is kind of is a leader. It's adventurous. It's going on a journey. It wants to get things done. It likes structure and form, and it wants to do things. And it's coming at a time of great change, and it's going to inspire people this year who want to be leaders, who want to get things done, who want to make changes. But just a word of warning of the fire horse is, like any horse, you don't want to spook it. So you need to keep on a steady path. Stay within the boundaries of the path. Don't spook your horse. And you'll each know what that means for yourself. Just stay in the saddle, stay in your lane. Don't get distracted by all the noise and chaos that's out there, and you'll enjoy the ride, so to speak. So in the message, it's appealing to the part that feels and knows differently, And it's kind of like you either believe in a God or some kind of higher power, or you don't, and that's a knowing. You can't change that. You can't believe in God and then not. I think you can do it the other way around, but it's like, well, it feels external. It feels like God is some kind of external source, and these messages, they're continuing to build to drive that perspective, not just as God being an external source, but an internal source. And it's a fundamental aspect of the message, and it's being driven home here as well. The difficulty with that is we were given a mind to engage with this dualistic perspective, dualistic reality, and the mind's done an excellent job. It's done exactly what we've asked it to do to keep us alive. It's very basic in its approach. It's survival, it's primal, and it's developed and continues to develop scheme upon scheme upon scheme to keep you alive and safe, even if that means unhappiness, sadness, illness, all of those things. It's really not interested in that. It's just survival. And so the idea of some very woo-woo, fluffy perspective of the soul self coming in and having these, freestyling ideas is completely unsafe to the mind. And it will do anything it can to keep you safe by invalidating the soul. And I think that's what they're referring to here. And it's so clever. Sometimes it will pretend to be the soul and then pull the rug from underneath it so that you'll doubt it and question it and reject it. So be mindful of your mind. And just be aware of awareness itself in terms of what you're thinking, how you're behaving, how you're responding. The Divine Council refer to the coming times, and I think they're not just referring to the book here, but the actual coming times themselves. And those coming times are not in the distant future, they're in the coming days, weeks, months, and certainly this year and the next year or two. There suggests that even those people that doubt what we're talking about here, what many other teachers and authors and channelers and on the planet there are at the moment, there's some fantastic teachers out there. There are still many, many, many people who doubt this internal soul energy, the power, the sovereign self within. But they suggest that during this time of change, everyone will have the chance to look there and to see and to recognize. And to challenge the authority of the mind as being your internal guide, teacher, leader. And we've been given a pathway into this already. Challenging authority from an external perspective, certainly through COVID. There were many people, let's say already on the spirit path, who'd done a lot of work on themselves, who were kind of already not fully aware, but very much aware of their soul self. And I'll include myself in this, that I actually really enjoyed lockdown, and I'm not ashamed to say that. I fully understand and empathise with people who found it incredibly difficult, and some people tragic. And I in no way intending to diminish that, but that is their stories, and heartfelt compassion to those people that suffered through that. But from that, they were given an opportunity to question the external authorities, and we have done politically, medically, financially, all those ways. And I think that's been an encouragement to move that on to the next place, which is questioning the internal authority. So our own mind, and how that's been dictating our state of mind, our state of peace or lack of, the illnesses, the chaos. It's all an outer reflection of our internal state. Again, a repeated message that the Divine Counsel are channeling through Helen. But I feel, the more and more we desire peace, and the more and more we look for and accept that there is something greater within us, not just without us, and that soul self starts to realize in your daily life, the more you'll question the ego mind, because it will be, not in harmony, it will be disharmonious to the ego mind. And more you'll start to seek that soul self feeling. And then you'll gain trust and faith in the soul self, until one day you just know that you're that. Where I don't believe any of us there yet, but some people are a little bit closer to it than others, and that's just because they chose themselves to be here, to be teachers and guides, to get the whole human family across into the new dimensional space and time of high dimensional thinking and feeling. The Divine Counsel suggests that even the most awakened still experience the need for inner validation, and I struggled with this. So my perspective on it may be wide of the mark, but you go with your own sense. But I feel it's impossible almost to have an experience without seeking validation if you're human. Even if it's just a tiny percentage of you is human, and the most part is soul, you're still going to be human and have human feelings and human doubts and concerns, but there will be less and less. They won't be what dominates, but they'll still seek validation, and that's fine. It's okay to be human. We're here to be human, but it's much better to have the soul driving the bus than the mind that's primed for primal living. So, remain curious, question everything, question yourself, but not to the point of paranoia. Just take a moment to question things, and maybe you'll feel things rather than think them first, and that then will give you a much greater barometer of right or wrong answer. So this idea of trust and faith evolving into knowing comes through experience, but we can start looking at that now by looking at past events in your life, certainly significant ones, where you're here now listening to this, so you've already overcome, or you're in the process of overcoming something significant. So what was it that got you through that? What got you to this point where that is in the past and you can reflect on it? Would you change it? Most people, when I ask that question to, say no, because they've evolved. There are some pretty horrendous experiences, especially early life, where undoubtedly you would wish they would happen. They wouldn't have happened, but they have, and you've overcome it. You've evolved from it. So this also is evidence building that there's something else. And not that we want to repeat horrendous experiences just so that we gain a knowing, but there's enough evidence there to know that there is something that is within us that gets us through these the rock and the hard place and evolve from it. The Divine Counsel suggests the world is set up to distract you from yourself. I mean, who would do this and why? Again, this is primal mind, I think. But to see that as a reflection in the outside world at the moment, conspiracy theorists would say it's a bunch of greedy control freaks who are trying to keep you in a low place and take control. That was definitely my belief. few years ago. Not too many years ago. I mean, I was very sort of. That was certainly my mindset, and I think that's a rite of passage.
Yeah.
And it's important that people fiercely contest perspectives, but if you think that they're there to hurt us by design, then you're a victim in that situation. People who are invested in right or wrong might have a similar opinion, because being right is a distraction. It suggests someone else is wrong. And so you're in this dualistic conflict situation all the time. And being in that, holding that energy of that dualistic perspective keeps you away from looking inside. And so what if you set everything up? What if, from a soul perspective, before you came here, you organised or arranged being a victim for a while, or being an activist for a while, or even worse, being a perpetrator, as you might perceive it? All of these things giving you opportunities to make the right choices, choosing peace over chaos, love over fear. I mentioned this before. What if those people, those that you see on the news every day, even causing heinous crimes, came here to awaken those people that needed to see those things, those people that we needed, that volunteered to come here as souls to commit heinous crimes, so that we could see that they weren't hidden anymore, so that we can take action to heal them. Would you judge, criticise and even hang someone who'd voluntarily done that? I mean, that's a hard concept to consider, especially when you're in a difficult situation. But for me, it's the only way that leads to resolution. And that's not to say we just forgive and roll over and die. That's seeing the situations as opportunities to heal whatever's there, whatever's been hidden, whatever's not been addressed or looked at. The DC suggests everyone will be drawn inwards in one way or another. And wouldn't it be much better if you go inwards now of your own choice, rather than have to experience something that forces that? And I'm not saying this from a fearful perspective, but you make the choice first, and things will be a lot easier. And also, we might not even need to have any kind of catalyst or situation to force you to look inside. The Divine Counsel also in the message reflect on a time in the future when we'll look back on a time where we didn't recognise the soul self, with some humour. I found this very reassuring, because they're pretty much saying here everything's done. They were asking us to look back on, reflect on times when we didn't have mobile phones. Certainly my generation. I was in the first year at school when we were allowed to use calculators. And I actually thought that was cheating. It didn't help my maths examinations whatsoever. But, that's... So my generation, and Helen's, we're born without those things. And so in the not too distant future, there are going to be generations that are going to reflect on a time where the idea of not honouring your soul self internally would be actually ludicrous. And so they're saying it's done, so we just have to lean into that place and have trust and faith until that becomes a knowing. The other interesting thing that caught my attention is they refer to conscious technology. They've referred to this before in other transmissions that Helen and I have enjoyed. I don't think we've shown them on here. So I looked up on ChatGPT. I love my little sautés into ChatGPT. Conscious, aware and able to think, feel and notice. And technology is how humans use knowledge. So they're suggesting here that we're going to become more aware and the internal technology of our DNA, our minds, I don't really know what that means, but they're going to change rapidly. The technology will help us to, our basically processing chip will be fundamentally upgraded to a point where we can't even recognize it right now. I'm very excited to that, because they're suggesting that's happening now, and will get stronger and stronger. And they also, finally, they're stressing here, the age of individuality is open. Celebrate and yours and others' individuality. So important. We don't want to be sheeple anymore. Sheeple have been around far too long, and it's boring. Get the independence back. Get the independent shot back. Independent thinking. Independent creativity. Support each other in those endeavours. It's the biggest thing I ask. The biggest thing that changes people I ask in clinic is, what would you love to do? I'd say 80% of people have got no idea until I prod and poke them, and then they remember things that they used to do, that they buried under the carpet or shoved in a cupboard because they didn't feel confident, they judged themselves, they thought it would be laughed at, it was never going to make them any money, all of these reasons. And when I encourage them to pick up their easels or pens or whatever it is, they absolutely love it. They're returning to their natural gifts, their soul self gifts. And it brings joy back to your life, and then things start to change. So I stress and encourage individuality. It's a wonderful thing. Don't be scared and enjoy it. Do you have anything that you'd like to share?
I don't think I do, actually.
Oh, really?
I was just listening to you, and nothing. There was a few things that did when you were talking, but now they've just completely gone from my mind. So I think it's nice that we
Call it a day.
Yeah, I think so, because there's nothing that has jumped into my mind that I think that I want to say. I think you've covered so much from such a great perspective, and bring alive the actual written reports.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Pleasure. Well, thank you for listening to World Affairs Truth Report number 3. That's a mouthful. And please come and join us. We'll be back next week with another instalment.
Yes. Yeah.
Go well, love yourselves, love everyone else, and all will be well.